I sit on the east side this time. Not quite as bad.
It is now time to call the City of Franklin City Commission to order. And it's good to see everyone here this morning. And at this time, to start our meeting, I will ask Commissioner Williams, if he will, to lead us in a word of prayer.
Yes. Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for all your blessings. We thank you for the sunshine. We thank you for everything you give us that we need, Father. We ask you, please, we're praying for the sick and shut in, people in the nursing homes. And also, Father, we're praying for the school system this year, for all schools, the children, we're praying that they'll be safe. Father, we just ask you for all these blessings. We know that without you, we can do nothing. With you, everything is possible. Father, now we ask you to come into this meeting, give us the wisdom and the knowledge to do what's right in this community, and bless everyone under the sound of my voice. In Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. We will move on to hear the public, and we did have someone scheduled this morning that's not able to be here. So is there anyone else that's here that would? Okay. If not, we will move on to the approval of minutes, and the approval of minutes of the July 22nd, 2024 regular meeting. And I'm sure everyone's had an opportunity to read over those. And are there any comments or questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have seconds? We have a second by Commissioner Williams. Any further comments? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the minutes stand approved as they are stated. And we'll move on to recognitions, and we have an education recognition for Jennifer Knight. And Carol, you want to speak to that for us? And
Jennifer, you have to stand up. So Jennifer, for the last 3.5 years, has been doing school online, working full-time, juggling her family, and just graduated with her BS in accounting and financial administration with the finance. So she's really more degrees than I am now. And she graduated with highest honors. It's been a tough program, lots of late nights of I attempted to help her sometimes, it was not really much help. But we really appreciate her hard work and dedication both at the office and getting this degree, which will help her now in the new role that she has as the financial analyst. Just want to say
Jennifer, we congratulate you, and we're very proud of your accomplishments. We are. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. From here, we'll move on to recognition of a new police officer, Jacoby Sharklett. He's actually not real new to us, but he's here with us today. So, Scott, I think you have a swearing.
This one's going to take, and need to reintroduce. That's fine. We all know. Makes it easier on me. I mean, if you want to say something, feel free. How great a job I do. All right, Jacoby, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, that you possess the required qualifications to hold this office and will faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of police officer for the city of Franklin, Kentucky, according to law? Do you further solemnly swear that since the adoption of this present Constitution, you have not fought a duel with deadly weapons, nor have you acted as a second in carrying such a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending And do you finally solemnly swear or affirm that you will endeavor to the best of your ability to detect and prosecute all gamblers and others violating the laws against gaming, so help you God? Yes, sir. Welcome aboard.
Welcome back. Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, good to have you. We'll move on to community services, and that'll be discussion regarding the annual Garden Spot 5K run. And I believe we have Steve Thurman, Chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, here to speak to us today.
Thank you, Mayor. I find myself here again, and today I'm not asking for anything. Listen, guys, I thought about this, and I thought the number of times I come to the city to thank you all for what you've done. And I'm going to explain it like this. In 1995, I had an offer of a job to be president of a bank in a neighboring community. And I thought about that long and hard. Every banker's desire is to be the president of a bank, and I had that opportunity. And I ended up turning that opportunity down, and the reason I turned that opportunity down, I realize every time I come to you all, because of this community. On that day, and it was 68 degrees on the day that the run started. By the way, it had been 99 during the week, but I'll just say that was a chamber day. But on that day, we had 120 volunteers from our community out working for that particular event. We even had a city commissioner taking abuse at a roadblock, trying to keep people from running out and running over any of our runners and walkers. Prior to the day, we had Steve and Daryl. And let me just tell you about that real quick, because they've never left me that Steve doesn't say, if you need anything else, let me know. Daryl never leaves me that he doesn't say, you just call me if you need something. And the thing about it is they mean it. They're not just saying that because that's part of their job. They mean it. So we get through the Garden Spot with all the help of the city, the police department. You know, all you have to do is call Chief Solomon and say, we got 800 people coming to run up and down our streets. Can you do anything about it? And he says, yes, I believe I can take care of that. And he does. And what he sends us is the Officer Supremo, as Officer Monty Cherry leads for, I'm afraid, the last time, the Garden Spot run. I want to talk to the city about that at some point. So it is a community thing. And we think about, and I thank you today for what you did with the Garden Spot, preparing the streets, Public Works going out and clearing the streets. There wasn't a single mattress anywhere on the course. And for that, I thank you all. But it goes even farther than that, because just a week after that, we have our Leadership Day. And Tammy Carey is chairman of the Leadership Day, and she worked us to death that day, starting here in the beautiful new chambers of the commission and going the rest of the day. And I'm telling you, when the city can have a person who can make the wastewater treatment plant sound interesting, you know that we've got a good city staff here. And that's what happened. I called him the president of poop, but he actually did a great job. So in all seriousness, and there are only so many ways I can thank you all for what you do to help the Chamber of Commerce. I say it every time I come, and every time I mean it from the bottom of my heart. We could not operate. We couldn't do anything like what we are allowed to do if we didn't have the partnership and the cooperation with the city of Franklin. So Mayor, once again, thank you, the commissioners, Kenton, and everybody that works at the city that makes my life, well, I don't even do anything because they do it all. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming, Steve. Moving on, under community services, we will have discussion and introduction of the Boys and Girls Club, new CEO, and Kenton Powell will speak to that. And that we're glad to have you here today. Actually, my wife's on the board, and she's.
Brittany, why don't you go ahead and stand up at the podium and introduce yourself? But I just met Brittany just about 30 minutes ago, so glad to have you.
I really am just here to introduce myself. My name is Brittany Curry, and I'm here as the new CEO for the Boys and Girls Club of Franklin Simpson. As we all know, the club's been here for almost 2 decades now. Every time I turn a corner in this town, someone wants to tell me about the impact that the club has had on them or someone they know or a child in their neighborhood. And it really, when I was interviewing for the process, I said I wish we would have had one in my hometown. I think it would have saved some lives. I probably would have a couple more friends alive. And I think that the impact that the club has had here in this town and the impact that the town has had on the club really speaks a lot about this community, the people in the community, and you all as a whole. I will say, I live in Gallatin. I came from working in Nashville for the last 15 years. Everywhere I went, no matter who I spoke to or what group I spoke to, I was nervous. I was excited to be here today. This community has been the most welcoming place I feel like I've probably ever been, I've ever worked. And it's truly the first time that I have felt like I belonged where I was. And so I wanted to thank the Boys and Girls Club, first of all, and our board, but also this town, this community for everything you've done for the club and how welcoming you've been for me as a newcomer over this last month. And it's been really great, and I cannot wait to work with all of you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This commission is very supportive of the Boys and Girls Club. And fortunately, we have one of our commissioners on the board, and my wife serves on the board. And it's one of her babies, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. From here, we'll move on to general government, and that'll be discussion and a possible action regarding a request for the 2024 Franklin Car and Craft Show street closing. And Amy Ellis is here to speak to us on that.
Good afternoon. Brittany, welcome to Franklin. We're so glad to have you. I met you briefly, but you're coming at a good time of year when there's like lots of really cool stuff going on, and we're very thankful to have you here in our community. Yes, do you want me to read the request? I think you guys have it. This is for the car show. This will be the 61st year that we have the Car and Craft Show in downtown Franklin. And what we are requesting is to close College Street from Madison Street to Washington Street on Friday, September 20th from 4 in the afternoon on Friday to 4 in the afternoon on Saturday. That is so that we can have the crews in that night. And then Main Street from Washington Street to Madison Street on Saturday, the 21st, from 5 a.m. until 4 p.m. And Cedar Street from High Street to Court Street on Saturday, the 21st, from 5 a.m. until 4 p.m. And last year we were actually done a little early and we're able to open those streets a little early. We try to open Main Street first. We'll try to get the cars cleared out.
What Amy is asking for, this is an annual request and it's the same street closures that we have done over the years. So,
Mayor, I make that motion.
we have a motion by Commissioner Stewart to do that.
Second, Mayor.
We have a second by Commissioner McQuarrie. Any further comments? All in favor, aye. Aye. And that motion carries. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
I also asked Amy to give an update on the summer vibes.
Yeah, I'd like to hear. Yeah.
Well, while I'm here and awake, which is odd, if you had a chance to go downtown Saturday or drove by and saw all the people, I want to say, first of all, I want to say thank you, and I'm going to thank you again in a moment. But we had about 8,500 people in attendance. At one time, we think we had 8,500 people in the courtyard, which is a lot. Bob Palmer actually took some video and did some aerial shots, and he looked he counted. He pulled up a counter, and we tried to count people. I'm pretty sure throughout the day we had more than 8,500 people, but at one time, about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, that's what we counted. Everybody that was there shaking their heads. There were at least that many people there. It was a record crowd. It's probably about 3,000 more people than we had last year. I want to thank everybody that helped. Mostly Roger Solomon and your city police were on hand, and we were so grateful to have the police and the sheriff's department there. Like, they were there, and it was awesome. We had a lot of dads and husbands that had just security shirts on, just walking around, but having the police and the sheriff's department there was great. You know, when you have 8,500 people in one place, it's nice to know that you have some backup. And I thought it was very well controlled. We didn't have any issues. We had two medical things. One was diabetic and one was overheated. And then I think we had one of our officers that had a kidney stone attack. So we aren't going to claim that one. That one was on him. But other than that, we did have two moms looking for their children, and grown teenagers that we found in like 5 minutes by pulling those cameras up. So I haven't heard anything negative, only good things. And I think that is a testament to our police, our sheriff's department. Bob Palmer and his emergency management team are amazing. He was all over it. They were so grateful. I mean, we were grateful for them. They did everything we asked and more. Of course, I want to thank the Simpson County Jail. Dennis Link brought his team up there, and those guys, the inmates, really, really helped us so much. It was hot. It was hot for all of us, but they really worked hard. I want to give a special thank you while I'm on camera to the high school band. So we, at the last minute, needed some help with getting the instruments loaded in and off of the stage. And the high school band kids, we asked the boosters, but the kids came, and the band dads, and they worked all day long, pulling those instruments off and on the stage, and it was incredible. And we were so grateful for their help, and they knew what they were doing. I would have been no help up there, but they really knew. And then the football team came in that night at 10 o'clock and helped us pick up trash. So if you see any of them, please thank them for us. And another group that probably doesn't get thanked enough, we have one sitting here in the audience, are the downtown residents and the business owners, because people actually live down there. So this is great, and we're very thankful that they let us hold an event like this in their front yard. And the churches, you know, we've got 2 churches there, and we're like really in your front yard, so we appreciate that. But our biggest sponsor was the City of Franklin. You guys came in clutch for us, and I can't thank you enough. What you guys did, stepping up with sponsorship, was amazing. And I hope that what happened on Saturday was a good reflection on Franklin and for you guys. And I hope you were happy with the way things turned out. I do want to run down the list of our sponsors while I've got the chance. Of course, the City of Franklin was our main stage sponsor. Franklin Bank and Trust, the Mint Gaming Hall, Fritz Winter, German American Bank, Hunt Auto, Simpson Fiscal Court, Macy's, Ryan Homes, Ohio Valley Insurance, the FS Chamber of Commerce, FS Arts Council. And then I know you guys know that Kim, the director of Renaissance, and I'm the director of tourism, and both of our organizations also were the major sponsors. But I want to thank our boards, not me and Kim. It was our boards. We each have a board of 7 or 8 members. Some of you guys sit on those boards. Some of the magistrates sit on those boards. And then we have representatives from the community. And without them saying, yes, we can do this, we couldn't have even started the conversation. So I just want to say thank you. People from all over were shouting out what states they were from. We had so many visitors. The vendors were selling out of food and having to run to the Piggly Wiggly to buy more food, and that's great. So I hope it was a good day for everybody involved. So, and with that being said, we have 7 days of live racing, so we are going to have visitors from across the world here for throughout August and the first 2 weeks of September. So I'm glad Franklin's all cleaned up and ready to welcome more people.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Very good report. Thank you, Amy. We will move on to discussion and a possible action regarding proposed special call meeting, community walk. And Kenton, you want to speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. We had talked the last meeting, Darcy and Braddock had made a recommendation as far as doing some safety improvements on Railroad. And also we wanted to kind of look at some improvements we're doing on East Madison sidewalks. And we just thought it would be a good opportunity to have the public come, kind of listen to comments, and also walk through the area. I think John mentioned like 8/10 of a mile, but we'll have different people come out and give their input. But anyway, we had targeted September 23rd. It's a regular commission meeting, but instead of meeting at 12 noon, we talked about doing it at 5 p.m. And it would be at the First Baptist Church. So if it's adequate with the commission, then we would cancel the new meeting and schedule cancel the regular scheduled meeting time on Monday, September 23rd at 12 noon, and schedule a special call meeting on Monday, 23rd at 5 p.m. at First Baptist Church. So I didn't know if you had any feedback or what your thoughts, but it'd be basically a walk and talk, just kind of be a good introduction to the public. We had done that a few times prior to COVID, but that kind of stopped, but I thought this would be a good time to kind of get that activity started again.
I don't have a conflict.
Okay.
I don't have any conflict with that.
Do that by motion.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner
sure.
Stewart and a second by Commissioner Powell. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, aye. Aye. Okay, and that motion carries unanimously. We will move on to discussion and a possible action regarding a civil engineering technology certificate, and I think Kenton will speak to that also.
Yes, Mayor. Through the budget session, we've had 2 certificates or technology that it's approved in the budget. One is the industrial maintenance, and the other one is the civil engineering technology certificate. And the engineering certificate is mostly geared for the public works and water distribution. As you know, our city's going through a lot of different growths, a lot of different growing pains, and there is a segment of education or technology that we really feel that we need: surveying, building construction, infrastructure, design, topo. There is just a lot of things that we felt like if we added another program, and it's a 2-year degree, that would be beneficial for the city, but also for an individual. In the packet, you can see that course is outlined. It's kind of to go through 2 years. It's regimented through year 1. The employee who's got to pass through year 1, got passing grades, it would be an incentive pay increase. Year 2, you would get a pay increase. And like I said, that's in the budget as far as this program, but I just really feel that in our Public Works Department, which we have water distribution and Public Works in the same building, that we could have an opportunity to make one job certification. And what I mean by that is that currently, when we roll this out, current employees, obviously it's volunteer. Nothing is mandated. It's an opportunity to expand your knowledge. But there's a real opportunity, as I stated, we've got employees in the next few months to 2 years, 3 or 4 people retiring. And I think it would be a good possibility that when we hire people, that it's a mandatory to get your water distribution license and a civil engineering certificate. And I think that gives the leadership in that department a lot of latitude for different skill sets. We're paying more for that skill set, and it could be water distribution or doing inspections and subdivisions or doing surveying, doing topo. It just opens a lot of opportunity for us. The reason I'm discussing this is wanting to get feedback on the commission, what their thoughts are, because if you agree with the direction, we would like to be able to post and advertise that this is a requirement. But I wanted to say if this is something we want to do or not. So I really wanted feedback, because if they wasn't meeting requirement, then there would have to be some type of exit strategy. But I think it would be a good feeder program to get younger people into the city that know that we're sponsoring these degrees or these certifications, and you will be paid for this knowledge. I just kind of puked a lot of that out at you, so I'm looking for some feedback on questions.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So, mandatory, are we talking about for every new hire? For every new hire that is hired?
In the Public Works.
In Public Works, it would be mandatory that they would take these classes to be certified in, okay.
Water distribution or like I
And
said,
so,
situation.
as it would be advertised, it would be advertised as such, so you would know this
Yes.
coming in, okay,
Yes.
good. So, once one receives their certificate, of engineering license. What's the limit, are there limitations? I guess some of those services now, Richard Jones.
Yeah.
Would that be something different?
Well, right now, let's
Or
just
could they
give you a
do that?
scenario. Some of the things that, and I got Daryl and Steve here, some of the things that right now that Richard Jones, he's our PE, we always need a professional engineer to sign and agree. He's going to have to go out in the field to inspect.
So we would still use him?
Yeah, we would still use him,
Okay.
but the field work would be more of our individual. They can inspect what was done and they say, okay, Richard, this was done, okay. So right now, it would save us time. Instead of paying for an engineer to do the inspections, we could do the inspections and say that was done. Does that make sense?
And having someone in-house that could go
Yeah.
right to the site,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
Sure.
And that's kind of and like I said, I got Daryl here, I got Steve here. As far as the discipline and be able to move employee to employee from a skill set, I think it'd make the job a lot easier. But I don't want to do all the talking, so I asked Daryl to, I wanted his feedback too. This is a real paradigm shift. And I'm going to say this, you met Josh Huddy, which is the director of literacy, our last meeting. It just so happens he's a degree civil engineer.
Okay.
And he can teach every one of these classes. So it's really teaching one-on-one or one-on-two people this class, these programs. So it's really a blessing to have that skill set here to be able to teach our employees this certificate. And now working with Sky CPC, as you see in the outline, I think these are all core subjects. They will give you college credit for this. And if the individual wanted to go ahead, I wanted my associate degree, well, they could take 9 or 12 hours of general ed and get their associate degree. But right now, we're just saying these are the core things that the city needs. But if the individual wants to go ahead and get an associate degree and take the general education, literature, math, science, okay.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And we got a college right here that we can do that. But what I've seen in the past, anytime you invest in training, in a skill set, I know for me, the employee feels better, he's more confident, it gives you a better product. It's just a win-win. But it is a real change in direction of where we're going in the city, because I really think we should be paying more for skill. And that way we can attract people and pay people for their skill asset. Because we need it. And people coming out of school, then we have something that they can work up to.
Well, the way
But I want to emphasize, I want to go back. People that are current employees, there are some people that are interested in it, but it's volunteer, it's not mandatory. It's for only ones that's coming into the program. But if you was to look in 5 years, that whole program, that whole workforce could flip, because we're at our age, our employees are beginning to retire. So I'm thinking that we need to look at the future on how do we want that department to look like.
I think that's that's going to be something that's going to be attractive for future hiring. So I think it's a great idea. I do. I think.
I agree. I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, because.
With bringing younger employees in.
And I need
And
to
then
know,
being-
I need from the legal to put together the policy and the requirements, and because they got to make passing grades. If not, then that expectation has got to be there when they come in. We don't need somebody I'm here because of time. No, there is a commitment, and I need somebody to help do the policies.
Well, no, I was saying, we need them to do a motion.
Yes,
So we can go down the path to fix this new program.
Okay, so this may be something that Scott will have to work out in the policy. Question: if we hire someone, they go through this program and have no success in obtaining a certificate, what do we do?
they have to exit the program. That would be a.
Okay, I think you mentioned that earlier. Okay.
No, that's really, I want to get out to make sure it's clear, because
So I understand it will.
But they exit the program, but what about employment?
Have to be, yeah.
And so exit is across the board. They get X'd.
Yeah.
Wow.
there's an expectation.
Well, it's
Okay.
like if we hire a police officer,
And he
continue
don't-
on going through the academy, and they don't pass the academy.
Well, and obviously coming in, that's understood.
That's right.
It's Just policy.
Everybody will be on the same team, not two teams.
That's the main thing we're looking at. Like you mentioned, next year I got 3 gentlemen retiring. All right, we're gonna be limited on operators, fixing the water leaks, everything. So we all come together as one. And these new people come in and go to these classes. Well, I may have 3 or 4 people that can operate. I may have 3 or 4 people that can, fix the water leak. But we'll all be working together. There won't be no more that just public work.
Yeah,
Just one.
yeah.
Combine and work as a team,
Yeah.
and use everyone's knowledge.
And you'll never be short,
Right.
short-handed. You can always have somebody there.
And plus, getting, skilled labor, we're a lot, better off than having someone just out here mowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, nothing against mowing, but we would like to spend our money on operators. Right now, me and Richard go out every week and have to look at stormwater basins and everything like that. Maybe I'll have a guy say, go shoot this grade and let us know if it's correct, instead of us having to pay Richard.
Sure.
Yeah, makes sense.
Awesome, okay. What do we need?
The motion, I guess, would be to approve the establishment of, what are we gonna call it? Whatever program you wanna call it, Kathy. And, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, somebody got a motion?
It's combining. Yeah.
The new hiring program with civil engineering technology.
And water distribution license.
Right.
And we're just approving the process to go forward with
All you're
it.
doing is telling us, you're good with it,
Yeah.
y'all go forward,
Right.
put the meat on the bone.
And before we go to the next step, we have in the budget to start interviewing, but I really didn't want to interview until I knew so whoever we bring in, I want to share, this is the expectation. So that would help us kind of start that
As
process.
part of that, authorize Kenton and I to write whatever policies and procedures we need to put in place to start that. Now, as a side note, we're getting ready to redo personal policies anyway, so we're gonna bring all that back to you later, but at least on a temporary basis, approve us to put this together.
And do I have a motion then?
Mayor, I move that all the
And I'm
discussion.
making this up as I go too.
All the discussion that we just had in regards to the new position and the hiring and the requirements that's going to be expected for the new hire, I move that we approve this.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Stewart.
I have a question.
Let's get you that.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second, okay. And
Okay.
now we'll have,
How soon do you plan on bringing these?
Well, what we're targeting is that we could start this program in January of '25. That's with our existing employees. So if we bring employees and hire them this fall, they could be eligible to start with the certificate.
Do you have a place for them right now? Talking about hiring them this fall?
We got a position budgeted for this fall for the first one. And then we'll have 2 more for next year. So they'll be coming on pretty quickly. So.
are there any further questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye. Aye. And that motion carries. Moving on, general government will be discussion and a possible action regarding FEMA granted storm shelter. And John, you want to speak to us on that? John Zambrano.
The city actually got a grant with FEMA, and the county government also got one to put in a public storm shelter. And so we started talking with the county and with Brad, people at FEMA, to kind of see, what are other communities doing. And we really started doing a little bit more research into this. So the approved site is at the corner of Redbud and 1008. The city owns a 2.2 acre lot there. I talked to some of the residents in the area, and this is a pretty widely used green space in this area. Some people mentioned walking their dogs and similar activities in the area. So The proposed storm shelter would enhance this space, not only by adding, a nice multi-purpose building to use there, but also I believe what we're gonna do is gonna be very attractive. So I started looking at designs and I talked with ACES, Arnold Consulting, and most of what you might see for some of these storm shelter projects might be a building probably the size of this room with outdoor bathrooms, very basic for the FEMA requirements. We didn't want to put something like that there. We've, as you've heard from pretty much everyone else today, we've been leaders in the community and leaders in the region, so we really wanted to go a step above and beyond. And so when I was doing the research, I found that monolithic dome style provides what's called near absolute protection, FEMA P361 standards. In severe weather, heavy tornado areas, often type of design. And there's a quote here from the Monolithic Dome Institute that says a monolithic dome gymnasium, for example, costs about the same or less than a conventional structure. This is a comparison against standard construction, not safe room level construction. Going to safe room using conventional techniques, it's going to cost more, a lot more. The structure that we're building for this grant is a 300-person capacity. So as I started drawing in GIS, looking at different types of designs, I found that, with the circle, you have a lot more area than you do perimeter. If you do a box or rectangle like some of the other places, you sacrifice some area for more building materials. So when I was talking to ACES and Arnold Consulting, we got this grant started, I think, July 10th of this year. As we were talking, we realized we have 90 days to come up with design and plans to meet the requirements of this grant. So 90 days from July 10th. We're in August, and I got a contract from ACES last week, so I was scrambling to get that in your packets today so that we could approve that agreement. So I wanted to show you, here on the left side, there are a few examples. This is done in Plano, Kentucky, and this was done in Warren County, Kentucky. This is a really beautiful, popular area with a lot of residential area. We didn't want to put something like that there. No offense to those who put something like that there, but we wanted to put something attractive and that we could use as multi-purpose, not just for storm shelter. So here's an example from Hennessy, Oklahoma, of a storm shelter / community center. Of course, they have indoor, outdoor bathrooms and other rooms in the area that they use for office space or storage, things like that. And then here's another example from Mississippi that I think it looks absolutely gorgeous, but it's also above and beyond on the standard as far as, resilience and disaster protection. So over here, I just kind of did a little 3D model of what the area would look like. We'd have a parking lot and dome-style structure. So are there any questions or comments regarding that?
What would be the capacity of those shelters?
So if we go with bare minimum capacity for a 300 300 person, we're looking at about a little less than 2,000 square foot, which gives us about a 25-foot diameter because of its circular design. I think according to the FEMA regulations, they want a little less than 5 square foot per person, and then 10 square foot for 2 handicapped people. So we were thinking make it a little bit bigger. That way we have some storage space, and just our basic ideas and discussions. We talked about having kind of a storage area with, servers and having cameras set up, and that way we can leave it open to the public and still have that security aspect, and then give the public Wi-Fi, things like that. And then maybe even adding in some art and design along the walls inside that kind of talk about Franklin, the history of Franklin, things like that. Again, this is still very early discussion, but clock's ticking, so.
Maybe a multi-purpose. Just throw out an idea of what else we could potentially use it for beyond the storm shelter. What any?
Well,
I mean, we always starving for space to have events of some kind of meetings, things of that nature. What else would that be built for that we could use?
well, ideally, this lot was given to the city with the purpose of being a park. So in talking with Lisa Devers, and, she manages the Jim Roberts Park, their structures, their ag building, for example, their pavilions, they get rented out pretty frequently for people who want to host events, things like that. So it may be, down the road when we decide that, this is something we want to do as a full park. We have those discussions with Lisa and whomever else to kind of see, well, what direction do we go from here? First step is building the actual building and having the structure. I've got a million ideas of what we could use it for, but.
Reunions, you got event parties, showers, I think the reunions at the pavilion type, this will be an air-conditioned space, so I think it just gives a lot more opportunities for the public to have a controlled environment.
And you'll notice in this area, there's a lot of residential in that area.
It's tight.
Dale?
First of all, did every county get this grant offered in Kentucky?
I don't think so. They had a list of people that did get it. There weren't 120 names on there, I know that, so.
I got you. Second, you was talking about the two different types. I know one's prettier than the other. What's the difference in the safety of them?
Well, so when I was looking at safety, there's like a minimum standard for the, basically, brick wall, can have a 10 metal roof.
I mean, like one will stand out 3 tornado versus 4. Are they?
Right. So, and I didn't really dive too much into what near absolute protection meant, but it did have diagrams of, wind and wind speeds that it can withstand. And so this was, I think, two times as durable as just a brick square building. Just because of the roof design itself, it actually pushes the wind over in a way that it's less likely to damage the structure. There was a lot of engineering that goes into it, and I'm kind of relying on ACES to help us with some of that. But just what I was reading about on the FEMA website, the basic standards, it's, no more than a house, really, for what they require. And we wanted something that it's going to last. If you're going to have a storm shelter, I want to feel safe during a storm if I'm going to go somewhere like that. And so we definitely want something that's going to be above and beyond as far as safety. So a lot of these buildings that you saw, and I can scroll back up so you can see some of the other ones. It's really basic in its design. While it could be safe for just a regular, tragic weather event, we've seen a lot of increasingly powerful storms come through. If a tree falls on a dome, it tends to slide right off. If it falls on a structure like this, it pushes on those stress points. But the main thing that I noticed was wind resistance. And I think this said something about a Category 4 hurricane. I don't know what that is. We don't live anywhere near hurricanes, so.
What's the dollar cost on one like that? And how much is the grant?
The grant, I think it pays up to 75% from FEMA gets reimbursed to the city. And then it's either 12 or 13% gets reimbursed from the state. And those funds can go up to, I believe, 600,000. So just as far as the design aspect goes, you'll see in the contract with ACES, I think it's 65,000 that they're asking for this one. So that leaves us an extra over $500,000 to actually construct it. So, and then, as we build onto the park area aspects of it, I'm sure we'll throw some more money at it, making it look nice and having all the features that we'd like to have. But we're going to put as much into this as we can that the grant will pay for, that's for sure. So I don't know that they'll pay for us to put up our work, but.
Did you find out what rate, there's lots of shelters, some that are rated for F2 tornadoes, 3, 4, 5, et cetera.
I can dig into that.
One is to withstand.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
Yeah, I can look into that. I was doing a lot of research on it, but I didn't write down any of the numbers or anything like that. I saw the diagrams of, wind hitting it versus a brick building, and it seemed like a no-brainer that this is the way we want to go. So, and we can go either way. I talked to ACES. I said, I know that the county's using them to design just a regular building, and we could probably build just a regular brick building, but like I said, as far as attractiveness and then longevity and durability, we certainly think that this is a better way to go. So,
What did you say the capacity would be?
so it's got to be 300 person capacity for the requirements of the grant.
The rating, that's super important. Which path we take.
So can we approve potentially confirming a rating? I don't think the direction.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, you see my point. If we're going to build a shelter, it needs to be, and Kentucky tornado. I think we need to know some details on it.
I agree, and so when I was talking to Mr. Arnold at Arnold Consulting, he asked me, do you want to put it in the ground? So that's one of those things that as we go through these design talks, we'll discuss, what the best way to go about that is. I mean, these are the engineers, they kind of know what to look for, and as far as durability, what would make it even more effective. So, and we'll see what that area has to offer. I know historically it's been kind of a drainage basin. Once we get into those discussions, we'll certainly, I'm sure, run into some factors. So,
Do we, as far as the questions the commission have, do we have time to come back to the next meeting to verify the ratings and still make the window, or do you need it? Obviously, you need something.
well, we'd be pushing it.
To the 90 days. When did it start? The 90 days?
July the 10th.
90 days starts July 10th.
It started July 10th already.
Correct.
I think we need to prove it, but before we build it, we need to know more factors.
Motion can be contingent on the rating and that we won't paint it to God off of Tennessee.
And that is a congested neighborhood up there too. I think we
Oh, yeah.
consider the aesthetics of the building somewhat. But
Absolutely. And I've gotten phone calls from people that, they ask, you're not going to put some ugly building over there, are you? I said, well, that's not the plan.
it's a pretty area. That area is it's a real pretty area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot is.
We had a lot of trouble years ago getting that secured.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Are there any further questions for John on the? And what we're doing is approving an agreement with Arnold Consulting to authorize the mayor to sign.
Correct, yes.
I'll make that motion.
contingent upon ascertaining the rating.
And this is for the design agreement. This isn't for the actual putting it up.
Right. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion made.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner McQuarrie, second. Second. Okay, second by Commissioner Williams. Do we have any further comment or questions on that? If not, all in favor, aye, approving the agreement.
Aye.
Okay, and that motion carries unanimously. Okay, thank you, John. And I believe that that's got you. We'll move on to public safety, and that'll be discussion and a possible action regarding a traffic study, progress and plans. But John has.
So while we're on safety, public safety, go ahead and you guys do this. So in early July, we acquired a Jaguar law enforcement radar that helps us measure traffic count, speed, direction, and all kinds of other information. And we've positioned this at 9 locations throughout the city so far. And just discussions with police officers, transportation officials, and community members, we've determined 7 streets and their respective intersections that we'd like to continue with data collection on. This device is really neat. I showed it to Roger, and we've got it set up in another location. It'll actually give best times to enforce, and it'll tell you if this area needs enforcement. You can see in the graphic there, the location, I won't say where, but this location, 73% of people were flying through there. One of them going 84 miles an hour and at 25. So pass that data right over to Roger and we'll approach the safety improvements there as needed. But these are just some of the locations, and we took an average daily traffic count and kind of did the average speed, and that's kind of some of the numbers that you're seeing here. You'll also see some of the planned locations in this map. So doing this, we basically take this data, we plug it into a GIS analysis algorithm using, well, transportation stuff in GIS, not to get too complex on it, but we take all this data and we analyze it and we pair that with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Complete Streets, Roads, Highways Manual, which is a mouthful, but it's just their manual that they've pushed forward this year. It's guidance and recommendations as far as safety improvements. And it's got a lot of information in here and a lot of recommendations and guidance documents and resources. In this, it says that intersection design can reduce fatal and injury crashes by 82%, as well as improve traffic flow and efficiency, which that really stood out to me. There are a lot of traffic calming measures that it outlines and different things that you can do at different price points too. So, you know, a lot of times if you do a major roadway configuration that's very costly, very complex, to widen the street, you're looking at years and millions of dollars. Whereas if you can go out there and change the paint on the street, and that modifies, you know, how the road is perceived, it tends to calm traffic in different ways. In fact, separated pedestrian facilities, whether they're physical separation or a visual separation, it reduces crashes involving pedestrians by up to 89%. And you can see here, this is one of the improvements that we'll talk about that we're doing on East Madison. This is actually, Steve already left, but they finished up a section of the brick sidewalk on East Madison. So if you haven't been over there to look at it, it looks really, really nice. And I think we're going to try and get as much of that brick as we can. But some of the other considerations that as we go forward, you know, we're going to continue to follow the Transportation Cabinet guidelines. But you'll see in your packet that there are a few other locations mentioned that will be monitoring data. And as we proceed, we'll come up with analyzed and recommended safety improvements. So I've also included my contact information on there if anybody has suggestions that they would like to analyze. And I've talked with some of you about spots here and there. And that's certainly included in our traffic study. So, and at our next scheduled or special called meeting, we'll discuss some of these safety improvements that we'll be doing in that area. And there are certainly some other areas that we'll discuss at that time too. So that's the update. Are there any questions or comments about that? Your report.
There's no action to be taken.
Right, yeah, no, it's just getting you updated.
Right. It's good to know. We thank you for that information and the time you put into that job. Thank you.
Happy to do it. Thanks.
Okay, here we'll move on to utilities. Nothing. Next will be ordinances, and Ms. Kathy will bring those to us.
Thank you. We'll have second summary reading today of ordinance number 2024-023. Ordinance rezoning approximately 8.82 acres fronting Highway 100, Scottsville Road, from I-2 Heavy Industrial to B4 Highway Business District as requested by South Street LLC. I will need a first and second motion for approval.
So moved. We have a motion by Commissioner Powell, a second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor, aye. I'm sorry, we need a roll call vote.
That's fine.
Go.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Dixon.
Yes.
Commissioner Craig.
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
And that ordinance passage unanimously. today ordinance number 2024-024, an ordinance rezoning of approximately 0.780 acres located immediately 701 North Street from R2, single-family and duplexes, to B2 general business as requested by Michael Carey Properties, LLC, and I will need a first and second motion for approval.
So moved, Mayor.
We have a motion by Commissioner Stewart. Second by Commissioner Powell, and we will have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Dixon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
And that ordinance also passes unanimously. This concludes second summary reading of these ordinances. The full text is available at City Hall, the office of the city clerk, during normal business hours, and will be available on the city's website upon passage and publication.
Kathy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, and from there, we will move on to executive session. And under executive session is personnel, and that will be discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee or member, and that's under KRS 61.810(1)F, and also litigation, and that's discussion of proposed or pending litigation under KRS 61.810(1)C, and also land acquisition, and that will be deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency where publicity would be likely to affect the value of a specific piece of property to be acquired for public use or sold by a public agency, and that's under KRS 61.8101B. I will need a motion to go into executive session.
Make that motion, Mayor.
We have a motion by Commissioner McQuarrie. A second by Commissioner Williams. All in favor, aye. Aye. And we'll now move into executive session.
Brad,
Do I have a motion that we come out of executive session?
So, Mayor.
A motion by Commissioner Williams,
Second, Mayor.
second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And we now move back into regular session. And I think we have a motion to come before the,
We do, Mayor. We need a motion to hire Zachary Chad at the wastewater treatment plant to begin with that.
Make that motion,
we
Mayor.
have a motion by Commissioner McQuarrie to do that hire.
I second, Mayor.
Second by Commissioner Stewart. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And that motion carries to hire Zachary Chandler. And from there, we will move on to city attorney reports. City manager reports.
No, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Stewart.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner McQuarrie.
Just keep the Bennett family in their prayers. Many people know Ted. He is graduated in 1981, very well loved in the community, and unfortunately we are lost, but just keep them in your prayers.
Thank you. We do have a invitation to, Melinda Mayer is retiring from the PBA office, and I just want to congratulate her for the years of service that she has given to our community. She's served our community well, and just want to congratulate her upon her retirement. Commissioner Williams?
No, Mayor, don't have it.
Commissioner Powell?
No, make a motion with John.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Powell to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second of Commissioner Williams. All in favor, aye. Aye. And we